Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jesse. In today's video, we are going to be talking a very hot topic that's currently happening in the country right now, since we are going through this huge crisis in the US. And the topic that I'm talking about is student loans. Student loans is something that's really talked about right now in Congress. And then the reason I'm making this video is to make you guys aware of what's happening and what could potentially happen between all these talks, and especially trying to get the country back in order. So if you guys are interested and want to know exactly what's happening, I have really interesting news that I've been following up on, all these articles that I've been reading. Make sure to watch the entire video so you guys can know everything that's basically happening. Okay guys, so welcome back again. We are going to be talking about the student loans today. Now, before we actually get into the topic and the specifics of what I want to basically mention today, I'm not a financial advisor. The information I'm going to bring to you guys right now is just of all the articles that I have been reading, because I have been keeping up with everything that's been going on in the country when it comes to finances and how it's going to affect me, how it can affect you. So again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just here to provide you guys some information. What I do want to mention is first give you guys a little bit of background of student loans. Student loans have been a huge part of my life, and I'm sure a lot of you guys as well, if you guys have student loans. I'll be frank with you. I've made a video in the past where I basically explain how much debt I have in student loans, and to be honest, and when it comes to student loans, I'll write it here. You know what, I'm gonna write it in red. I do have personally 25,000 in student loans. Now, the only thing I do, the positive side is that myself and my wife, this is the only debt that we have, and this debt is actually mine. My wife, she doesn't have any debt, she doesn't have any student loans, so I'm grateful for that. But unfortunately, I was very dumb in college, and I took money when I wasn't supposed to, and since no one really did explain to me how this worked, I ended up getting $25,000 in debt. Now, I think in total it was around 30,000, but I have been able to pay it down to 25. But this is just personal to me. I'm going to be giving you guys a few information on the background of the student loans crisis and give you guys some data before we actually get into what's happening today. Now, so just to give you guys an idea, currently the U.S. We are approximately 1.4 to 1.5 trillion. Yes, guys, trillion dollars in student loan debt. That's a huge amount of debt that we currently have. The average student in the US has approximately, and this is just approximately, guys, okay? So as I'm recording this video, today is March 23rd. This is approximately, okay guys? If you watch this video 6 months from now, of course the numbers might change, but for now, approximately it's around 35,000 to 37,000. This is the average student loan debt someone has when they graduate college. Now, with that being said, the average student loan payment on a monthly basis is $393. So just to give you guys a little information on the back end. So and just to add to that, approximately it might take folks around, let me see, I'll put it right here, 10 to 30 years to pay off this debt. Huge. If someone has a huge amount of debt and it takes them 30 years to pay off, just imagine the amount of interest that person's gonna have to pay. It's gonna be ridiculous, right? This debt is going to get even higher, since 2/3 now, in today's time, 2/3 of high school students are pursuing higher education, which is great. I'm for it. I feel like if you're in high school right now, I really recommend you guys go to college. The only thing I do recommend, if you do go to college, please learn it from mistakes from folks that I've met. So, I'm doing pretty well. I'll say that I'm doing pretty well for myself. But if you guys go to college, make sure to try to pick a degree that's going to be useful for the future, okay? Not to bash certain degrees, but look, to be honest, if you're going to school getting into this amount of debt and coming out with the art degree, again, not to bash anyone, to each their own, but be very cautious of what degree you're gonna get, okay? So that's all I'm gonna say. Just be cautious. Actually get something that's going to be useful for the future, and where you're going to be basically marketable when you graduate, so you can find a job. Okay, debt is this high, it's also because all these schools that we go to in college, they basically give out loans. Like if they're giving out flyers to random people, if you can imagine, they're giving out loans to 18-year-olds when honestly they're just coming out of high school. Maybe a few months before, they were still in class, getting ready to get dismissed to go to lunch, and they go to college and they're going to be getting a huge amount of debt because they don't know how it works, and it's kind of the way it works. It feels like it's student loan debt it's like a normal thing now here in the US. It's like if you don't have debt when it comes to student loans, then it feels like you're not a student. It seems like a lot of people go to school, they become students, and if they don't have debt, then that's not part of the college experience, okay? But I think that's what ends up happening. But just to give you guys a little bit more facts, so you guys can understand before I actually get to what's going on today in the last few days, is that in 2018, student loan debt rose by $79 billion. In 2018, student loan debt rose by $79 billion, guys. In the first quarter of 2019, that number rose to $29 billion in student loans. So you can imagine, if you're really thinking about it this in the long term, just say the next 10 years, who knows where we're going to be when it comes to student loans if this isn't handled accordingly. Okay, so around 45 million people in the US have student loans or borrowers of student loans, which is pretty crazy. Okay, and now and to add to that, among graduates, 71% of students with loans leave college with debt to pay. So just think about it like that. So 71% of, let's say if you go to our graduation, 70% of that group that's graduating is leaving that college with debt. Pretty crazy. And I'm one of them, guys. I'm actually one of them. It's ridiculous. I don't know what I was doing. But anyways, let's keep going. So just to give you guys a perspective of what age range are the ones that have the most debt. So 24-year-olds and younger have approximately 120 billion, with the B, guys, billion. Now 25 to 34-year-olds have approximately 494 billion. All the numbers that I'm going to be writing right now, they're in the billions. The next area is 35-year-olds to 49 years old have approximately 548 billion in debt. 50 to 61-year-olds are 224 billion in debt. Hopefully you guys can see that. Sorry, my writing is awful. And the last age is 62 and over. They have approximately 67 billion in debt. This is just to give you guys a perspective of who's actually in debt in this country. If you really think about it, those that are around 50 and over, they have a huge amount of debt. And God forbid if they're not managing their money well, if they're not, if they're still owe a lot of money, then at some point maybe their wages can get garnished and it can get a mess. But I don't want to get into that. I'm not too familiar with that. But let me erase this now that you guys can have a better understanding of what's happening in this country when it comes to debt, so you guys can get some background information of how it is currently. Again, these are the approximate numbers. I'll put the links in the description of the articles where I got this from, so if you guys want to read it, okay? Just FYI. Now, what does this mean to us today? Now that you guys have the background, and now that you guys know that who's actually in debt, I'm in debt, you guys that are watching are probably in debt. This is what basically the talks about right now in the country. Legislation has called the Student Debt Emergency Relief Act, which proposes to cancel 30,000 in student loan debt. Now, if you're asking me, I think this will definitely clear my debt, but I'll explain later on my real opinion. But if they were to decide today to eliminate 30,000 of some people's debt, I mean, I would take it, to be honest. I have 25,000. It will eliminate my debt. But I'll give you guys my full, true answer and how I really feel about this later on in the video. But so if they were to really cancel 30,000, it would cancel all the outstanding debt, and it will also be tax-free. But this is something that just came out, guys. Okay, this is what was proposed. But before this, they were talking about reducing student loans by $10,000. Let me put the dollar sign right here. They were talking about reducing student loan debt by $10,000. But of course, this is not certain yet. These are just talks right now. I think you guys should be very, very aware of what's happening. That's why I've created this little series. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I created this series so you guys can become aware what's going on out there in the finance world. Okay, so like I said, they proposed $30,000 to eliminate $30,000 debt of everyone in the US. If you guys recall, I mentioned around 44 or 45 million. There are around 44 to 45 million borrowers in the US when it comes to student loans. They're thinking about eliminating $30,000 in debt for them, including myself, maybe you as well. But that was the second option actually. Now the first option was this one, eliminating $10,000 in debt for everyone. But let me erase this to give you guys more information on this, okay? Now, although these are still in the talks, if you guys are interested and want to know exactly what's happening right now, let me go ahead and explain that. So actually, this is what actually is happening right now. If you guys have student debt, this is what it was already, this has basically occurred. It hasn't really been finalized because the debt that I have, which is from my Great Lakes, they are still waiting to eliminate the student interest. So let me explain what I mean by that. Right now they have eliminated or dropped, let me write that out. They have dropped to 0% interest for at least 60 days for everyone, okay? So they've eliminated basically the interest for the next 60 days for everyone when it comes to student loans. And those who need more help can request interest-free forbearance for at least 2 months, okay? Forbearance basically means that you're basically gonna stop your payments for a certain amount of time, okay? So folks that have been hurt the most because of the economy currently, they can apply for forbearance for at least 2 months, and there's no questions asked. They'll give it to you because of the situation we're in. Now, like I mentioned, this is currently happening right now. So what does this mean to me, okay? I'm gonna give you guys my full opinion of what I feel about this so you guys can understand this a little bit better. So yeah, so what I'm gonna say right now is basically my personal opinion of, you know, these eliminating $10,000 in debt or even $30,000 in debt for this. So number one, I think before they even start touching the student loan debt, they need to help out the people. Come on, right? Help out the people before we even start talking about the student loan debt. Of course, if they were to just magically wave the wand and say 30,000 of debt has been removed from everyone, I'll take it, guys. I'll be honest. I'll take it any day. I'll take it any day. I'll be debt free. Myself and wife will be debt free, and we'll live happily ever after, right? Like the Cinderella movies. But this is my thing, right? I think right now, before we even get to the student loan debt, we need to really focus on helping the people. I mean, for God's sake, 70,000 jobs were lost within 1 week, and it's projected that millions of jobs will be lost within the following weeks. I mean, before we even worry about the student loan debt, we need to really help the people out right now. These are the people that need the help the most, right? There's people, this is something that I just learned, and it's very, very interesting. About 70%, I believe, of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That's insane, guys. That's really, really eye-opening. I had no idea it was that high. But just imagine those people that have lost their jobs, they don't have anything right now. And some articles that I have read, they say that. So number two, okay, so again, help the people out first before we even get to the student loans. Number two, what about those that paid already, right? What would happen to those people that actually buckled down and actually paid their student loan debt and just took it on the chin and managed to pay off the debt? What would happen to them? I mean, it is a little unfair for them, because if someone had around $50,000 in student loan debt and they managed to pay it off, they got multiple jobs, what would happen to them? It's that's something that I would ask myself, okay? Number three, it would be, if we're gonna focus on student loans, guys, honestly, what about the mortgage payments, right? Am I spelling that correctly? What about the mortgage payments? The mortgage payments are honestly more important than the student loans, in my opinion, because the mortgage payments, people need a roof over their heads. Right now, we're in a really bad situation when it comes to the economy in the US because of the coronavirus. And honestly, this is not going to help the coronavirus at all. Okay, this is not going to help it out at all. I would honestly put this one on the list first. If they're going to eliminate student loans, I think this should really help out the people first. Because if this goes down, guys, we're basically, it's not going to look good. If people start losing their homes, hope it doesn't get to that point, but it can get really bad. I'm not a financial advisor, right? But I'm just saying, okay? Now, these are some of the my opinions. I mean, of course, I think that if they were to do it, I mean, I'm for it. But at the end of the day, what does this accomplish, right? People are fighting in Congress right now about the student loans and all that. But honestly, they need to help out the people first. And they need to help out the people that have mortgages and have rent, because they've lost jobs just boom with the blink of an eye. I mean, that's just my opinion, okay? But that's basically it for today, guys. I just wanted to bring this video to you so you guys can get a better feel of what's going on in the country currently when it comes to student loan debt. Student loans, it's a very, very intense topic in the country, because as I mentioned earlier, we are 1.5 trillion dollars in debt as a country, and the average person has around $35,000 to $37,000 just in debt when it comes to student loans. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys do like this little series that I have going on, where I basically update you guys on what's going on in the country when it comes to finances, make sure to subscribe, comment, like, maybe share with a friend, see what they think. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, everyone. Have a good one.